Hello, and welcome back to Wartscenter. This is episode 3, and we have a full cast with us today. We've got our Coach Brando, Coach Cody, Coach Laws, and Coach Ivan. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So we have had a week of Blood Bowl.
That is by definition what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you see on your screen here the week 2 scores. The Butchers Bay Dragons defeat the Amazonian Snoo Snoos 3-0. The SC LSU Mudclaws take a defeat to the New England Matriarchs 1-2. The Vermin Skulkers lose to the Los Alamos Aliens 1-2. The Uptow's Chosen Grung get a shutout win against the Gloomstalker Dragonaires. The Manhattan Mutant Mayhem fall from the clouds of last week and take a 2-0 loss to the Dark Iron. And the Lizzes with Attitude, an absolute barn burner, 4-0 victory over the Black Forest Guardians. And then quite the opposite. And our marquee matchup, the Anaheim Mighty Rats tie with the Luchadors 0-0. The first time it has ever happened in our league's history, a scoreless game. Thoughts on the week?
Wow.
What a wild week.
We're going to say that every week at this rate.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not fair.
It's Blood Bowl.
That 0-0 just stands out.
That 0-0 to me is the most shocking of all.
Yeah.
True. Because we've seen blowouts before, but a game where literally no one scores, that is new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watched the stream on that. That could have been like the commish said. That could have gone a completely different way.
Yeah,
I was there. I laughed. I cried.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that turned 16. We'll get into the slate. Let's just get into the slate because this one, it's great to see the play-by-play when talking about these matches, especially that last one because it was wild. Yeah. So Butchers Bay Dragons, Amazonian Snoo Snoo. This one happened outside of the day. We did get a picture. So I will say, anyone, if you take pictures of your games, DM me on Discord, and I'll get them in so we can have like a little slideshow with those. I think it's cool to have the visual models on the stream. So, yeah, Laws, I believe you were there. But yeah, it started off. The crowd got involved early and often. Took out one of the Amazonians' journeywomen. Then the touchdown came in turn 4, then followed up with another casualty on the other end. The Snoo Snoos clapped back and took care of John Casey, left them with a miss next game before heading into the half. Then the Snoo Snoos decided to try to get the passing game going through a pass. Butchers Bay Dragons took it off them at some point and scored a touchdown, and then ended the night with another touchdown. So. Any words? I know, Laws, you were there, and I don't know if he is otherwise engaged at the moment, but
Clinic. I think the Dragons put on a clinic. I think I messaged you that when we got the play-by-play from the commissioner. Just everything that could go wrong for the Snoo Snoos did, and the Dragons just capitalized on every single, just either bad luck or mistake, and just. I mean, 2-0 would have been the actual score, but it sounds like there was a blitz at the very end that just coffin nails on top of it.
Yeah, because there's no, with Dark Elves, there's not a massive way to get that one turn on without the help of a blitz. It's just not this is a little bit abnormal for sure. But yeah, I mean, a get right game for the Dragons. You know, the former champs showed why they're former champs, I think. So looking to probably snowball that into some more victories down the road. Cool. And also too, like the Dragons, they had like a 0 SPP game last week. So finally got some development on the run. So, all right. The Uptow's Chosen Grung. We talk about a clinic. This is, the most lit up the scoreboard was all week. 7 casualties, and from the coach that won the Pillow Hands Award, I might add. I know he said we keep bringing it up, so I just want to say, like, I think you've proved that that's no longer the case.
That was bulletin board material.
Yeah, indeed it was. So yeah, 3 touchdowns to nothing. Only 1 casualty for the Dragonaires. Yeah, it was a clinic. I mean, you see the first half we had 2 casualties for the Grung, and then a pass, and then a touchdown. And then before we got into the locker room at halftime, 2 more casualties, and then another pass, and then another casualty. I mean, just laying it on. That is a complete half of Blood Bowl, and it's very one-sided. So, well done by the Grung. Unfortunate the Dragonaires. Those games happen, but
you'll get them next time.
They happen in reverse too. So yeah. And we have a little stat later that that's kind of fun, so which we'll talk to when we talk about standings. Any other thoughts on this game?
Those missed next games are going to be pretty rough.
Yeah, up against it. At least one was the star. Oh yeah, so this is not the first time you'll see this. Kiroth Krakenai with the missed next game. He and his look-alike relatives took the pitch in several instances, and it did not go well for either of them. So cool. The Mudclaws put up some numbers in the casualties box, but slipped just shy on the score markers. The Matriarchs take another win, and they're really starting to show that they're playoff contenders. They're here to play. Yeah, I mean, the first half was pretty uneventful, minus Sonya killing Casey Bug, the one of the touchdown leaders from last week. So rest in peace. We'll get to the obituaries.
We did send flowers to the family.
Yes. The NKBBL's players' families are well taken care of. But yeah, then capped off the half with a touchdown. Mudclaws tried to fight their way back with a few casualties, some fouls, really trying to equalize, and even got a touchdown of their own to tie things up. But Matriarchs quick to respond. And we know the Matriarchs coach. He is a good offensive player. So a 2-turn touchdown is not uncommon to see in response to something like this. So yeah. Any thoughts on this match?
I was sitting next to this table, and I think the first half there's a lot of KOs, and it was looking pretty grim for the Mudclaws, but they clawed their way back. It looked like, and
true to their name.
Yeah,
true to their name.
Yep. So yeah, looking forward to see how the matches go for those two going forward. Sorry, Cody, you were gonna say something? No? Oh, okay. I thought I cut you off.
I thought you were too. Sorry.
I thought I cut you off. Just yell over me, please. And then the Dark Iron and the Mayhem. We have both coaches here, so how'd it go? Let's talk about it.
Well,
yeah.
From my point of view, not well.
Yeah. Those double zeros are hard to look at.
This was Cody played quite well. That's about all there is to it. My dice were not hot, aside from dodges.
Shocking.
Which was shocking.
5 and 6 plus dodges, no problem.
And just the fact that no one died was a surprise. So I'm taking the experiences of this, counting my blessings that I have some players left for next week, and that's about all there was to it. I'm sure Cody has way more to say.
I mean, it was just an interesting game from the start that I was apprehensive about, like it could swing either way, but I think that turn 1 chainsaw sawing himself for you just kind of set them in motion like a just snowball effect of like things not going great for you, and it just kept going that way.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so you induced Helmet?
Max Spleen Ripper.
Max Spleen Ripper, okay. And he Chainsawed himself.
Chainsawed himself, even with a reroll. I want to make that very clear. So, and because of that, I wasn't able to open a hole, essentially, in the Dark Irons line. And as such, I got to wallop him. I got a walloping. He mollywopped me, is what I'm trying to say.
You took your lumps.
Yeah.
I took my lumps, got my head kicked in, and I'm still feeling it, as you can tell from my slurred speech.
Yeah, I mean, as far as statistics, like, this is the second highest output of the week, short of to only the Grung, I believe. So it's hard to be on the other end of.
No, but good on the Dark Iron for making it that hard.
And good on my fellow coach, because he did not complain or get upset about it at any point, and he was literally just there having fun, and it made it fun for me. Obviously, I was not at different sides of the board for different reasons, but I mean, even then, I was still having fun, not from what was happening during the game, but just playing the game with Ivan made the game fun, regardless of what was going on.
Well, that's always good to hear.
I'm just here to have a good time.
Yep, we like good sports in Blood Bowl. This game can be infuriating, so it's a rare find. All right, moving on. So the Vermin Skulkers take a loss to the Aliens. Brando, how'd this match go?
I mean, obviously I won, so I enjoyed it. But this is a good match. From the start, from the jump, I was talking with Chadwell, and it's like, hey, I know your first game was really rough. We'll play, we'll go over fundamentals. I'm not going to go easy on you, but like, I'm going to explain what I'm doing, like, on defense and on offense. There was a point, like, in the first half, because he had a lot of inducement money. He induced a fireball and a helmet, and he came in with a game plan of using helmet on NASCAR and any of the big guys, which I had to respect. Fireball came into play, as you can see here, early on. But there was a point where I basically he received, and he had a gutter runner go up the side, and it was like turn 3 or 4, right? And I pressured him, and I was like, look, if you score, there's a chance your chainsaw's gone, but then you get your points. But if you don't score, I'm gonna either try and kill one of your players, or I'm just gonna come up and beat on your gutter runner. So he took the score, we re-racked, and then I managed to score on turn 8. Now, this, and I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast, but for this one, I ended up scoring on turn 15. I probably could have waited a little bit longer, because I KO'd most of his team. He had like 3 players left, and I just went ahead and scored, because it's like, I want to let you take a turn to like play 2 turns and see what you can do. And if it wasn't for the fact that it was a newer player, I probably wouldn't have done that, because by God, he could have probably tied it. It was scary. I almost shit my pants. I'm like, all right, there's a gutter runner 6 squares out from the end zone. Crap. So, and I told him that, like, like, you're that's improvement. So my big thing, like, obviously he got more casualties than I did, so Zod did nothing. Very disappointed in him again. But I thought I had a good time. I hope Chadwell had a good time. Hope it was a good learning experience. And it was good. First win against Skaven. Then again, Mighty Rats are just mighty. So I don't know. I had a good time. I'm looking forward to the next match.
Yep. Yeah. Very good. All right. So I could talk about this one. Ivan, I feel your pain with the goose eggs. This was a barn burner, and it was a mess of a game. Kudos to the Lizards with Attitude. They are a team to watch this year. The very good, very well built team, and the coaches come a long way. I will say that to start off. So
and I mean, that's when the positivity stops.
And no. I'll be positive. Could have been more positive on the day. I will admit that. So I need to channel my inner Ivan. But no, so we started. I induced Kiroth. and I was coming in with 3 journeymen. So I also induced Eileen and Dar from the Death Zone, which basically allows you to take your journeyman and either get rid of their loner, or get rid of their loner and then possibly get them some skills based on a roll. For this, it was a 4+ roll. If I rolled 4+, they got 1 skill. Ended up with a lineman with Frenzy and a lineman with Block, which I ended up hiring. So it was more of a play to develop the team as opposed to win the game. So I was a little bit weaker, I think, in the inducement game than I would like. But I mean, I came out with a Block lineman, so it's not too bad. But anyway, Kiroth was my answer to the Skinks, which each one of them scored. So, and part of it was due to G40 cracking Kiroth immediately. Turn 4, broke armor, casualtied, off. He's done. That was he only got four turns in, and that was his night. So, with him gone, there was not a whole lot of answer to the Skinks. They're faster than me, and being with these tree elves or these sea elves from the Secret League, the movement 5, movement 6, it's just hard to keep up with them. Yeah, I mean the sources are faster than me, so it was tough. We did a little bit. We got a pass, but most of it was Liz's. Yeah, touchdown. I tried a little bit too hard, I think, to get multiple passes in. And when those went wrong, it was very easy for a Skink to scoop up, dodge away, and go get a score. So yeah, that's basically how that one ended. But yeah, well done, Liz's. I hope I can cobble my team together and get enough wins to get that rematch, but we'll have to see. All right, and then our marquee matchup, the 0-0. There's no touchdowns to talk about here, but there were some casualties. But I have the pleasure of inviting the coaches to this match. Laws, who has been here, but I believe may be on mute. He may talk, he may not. But also our Trollolo Luchadors coach Joe should be on any minute. Maybe. But while we're waiting, what'd you guys think of this match? If you guys caught the stream or the replay, the live match.
Yeah. Wild. Ho, there he is.
Yep, and speaking of which, there he is. Joe.
The man.
The man.
The luchador.
The luchador.
So yeah, how'd your match go?
We don't talk about it.
Well, I mean, hey, you pulled off a tie against a very strong team.
Was the best of games, the worst of games.
Yep. And you made it hurt.
Ugh. Makes my stomach turn. Thinking of us ties. So many.
I am going to bring you a tie next week, just so you live up to your reputation.
If you get one more tie, you'll break the Independence Minutemen streak of ties to open the season. Just saying.
Yeah, then Brando has to give you a tie. That's how that works.
I already did.
No, I mean a physical tie, the article of clothing.
Oh, I mean, sure, yeah. You want a tie, bud?
If he gets another one, yes.
We all have to give him a tie.
All right. Well, while we have our coach on, anyone have any questions? Or Joe, if you have more to say, the floor is open.
Yeah,
as you can tell, we are so organized.
Indeed. I have no idea what was said before this, so I'm rolling on whatever we're talking about now. Game. Oh yes.
We just talked about the other matchups. We really haven't dug into this one just yet.
Okay, cool.
Oh, Commission's here too.
Yep.
Just hop in. Yeah.
All I can say is
morning, evening, and afternoon.
Cheese. Gouda.
Now, you two, I know despite your differences through this match, I expect you both to keep it respectful. So, Loves, if you could tell me what happened first, and then we'll get Joe's side of the story.
Didn't know we needed to make that level of conflict.
Is detective work or something good?
I took a conflict resolution course yesterday. I'm just applying what I learned.
Fair enough.
Understood. No, it was a game that I fully went into expecting a mostly negative outcome, and anyone that watched the broadcast will have a good idea that this game was absolutely a slaughter. There were rat bodies left on the floor, left and right. Any good Skaven coach will know that, especially when you have a rough start of the season, like the game 1 match against Manhattan. Whoever you play in that second game, you're going to be rolling 7, 8, sometimes even 9 line rats. It was 8 for me this week, and it's just always going to be an uphill battle. So I had to spend most of the match trying to figure out how to get past the wall of trolls, and I never really got enough momentum. And being without gutter runners and a blitzer, and having the absolute minimum resources to work with, I just got beat left and right. It was an absolute miracle that it ended up being a 0-0 score.
Very good. And Joe?
Well, that was a very professional, honest, and reasonable take. Fuck all that! What the hell were my rolls? Why couldn't I just succeed without any issue? God damn it!
Yep. Yep.
Those were pretty brutal rolls.
If you haven't seen the broadcast on YouTube, go back and watch that.
Yeah.
Before we spoil what happened on that very last turn. Okay, now that you watched it and you're back.
Thank you for pausing and watching a 2-hour video.
Failing that go for it at the very end was insane.
Oh.
I was editing the video and I cackled. I was like, there's no way that's how that ended. But sure enough, those damn go for it.
Yeah.
I wish to apologize to all the innocent, sad, and wonderful ears out there I may have ruined with my endless sailor mouth.
That's all right.
This is a family show.
I marked anything on this channel is not for kids, so we're good.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Well, hold on now. You string them all together, then that I think it actually like picks up something. So
yeah.
Just censor him. Just
yeah, that's fine.
He got demonetized before we even got monetized.
That's crazy. But yeah,
it was a great match. I had a lot of fun playing it either way. It was definitely a test of really digging into your resources. But as I mentioned before, when you play Skaven, you have a lot of dangerous threats, but sometimes you have a game like again week 1 was enough of a devastation for me that you turn around and you have to figure out how to play with very limited resources, and I can't use that as an excuse. I probably still would have got beat in most ways because I just could not find a way into the other half of the pitch even.
Is there anything that you learned during the course of the match that you think you can take with you to future matches, or you would apply in a rematch?
Having a gutter runner would have done a lot for me in general. Just any degree of mobility, because while Skaven aren't an agility friendly team like a lot of elf teams are, they are debatably the fastest team, and I would say that my playstyle lends to taking advantage of that high tempo, high speed. Just solve your problems by running away from them, and movement 7 is still pretty respectable going into a match where trolls are only movement 4, snotlings are movement 5. But when you run out of resources real quick because the trolls can punch you before you can really run past them quick enough, it doesn't matter how far you can run because you don't have a way to get past them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short would be, bring enough speed that can bounce around them. I think I probably would have been better off trying to buy more time. I think both games I've played this season, I've been maybe a little more aggressive than I should have been with the resources I had available to me at any given time, which again have been mostly depleted. But what are you going to do about it? That's Blood Bowl. So hopefully next week, which is not going to be an easy matchup, we'll try and bounce back. But Always respect your opponents, and I try to do that in the first place. But it's been tough goings.
Yep, feel you there. And Joe, anything you learned from the match that you're going to take going forward?
I have learned that more violence should be applied at all times of the game. Second,
I like that.
True. It's very true.
My Snotlings continue to prove that they are a valued member of the team, and I should use them more often as ammunition on every occasion I can.
Oh yeah,
True.
Absolute praise for how the Snotlings were utilized in that game. They definitely did a lot of work, and I genuinely want to give you a lot of praise because you had a handful of resources with a troll team, and you were really using all of them. Again, it just didn't come out to a score because of absolutely wild luck.
That's fine, but I am very happy that I have, though I am not a fan of this game, and I will have it on the record, and I truly despise this game in many ways. I have finally dedicated the 2 brain cells that I shall allow to this game, and it has proven quite successful.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we have for our coach spotlight. So I'm gonna let you go.
Of course. You all have a pleasant day. So
right.
help.
Love you, Joe.
You too. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and blessing us with this awesome game and getting a chance to talk about it.
Of course.
Yep.
Have a wonderful night, friends.
Yep,
and
you too.
You too.
Good day.
Good
You
day.
too, Joe.
All right, let's move
Oh.
right on. So we had another week of games, which means we've had another week of stats, and the leaderboards have changed quite significantly at that. So our top 10 in terms of SPP, taking the gold, Taguchi Main from the Lizards with Attitude, with 14 total SPP. Right behind him, Timothy, and then a whole host of people at the 10 SPP mark. Murdoch from the Dragons, Sigerius from the Dark Iron, Hopper from the Grung, and of course, the one, the only, the famed Crowd. I did stretch this out to a top 11 because as long as the Crowd is going to be on this, I want to actually get top 10 players. But I'm not removing the Crowd. I'm keeping them there. Yeah, behind that, Tara, Earthshaker on a team that's not been doing so hot. The Snoo have a star, it seems. Orin Sapp from the Black Forest Guardians. I'll be honest, he hasn't done anything. That's 2 MVPs. But now he has dodged, so, which we'll get to talk about. Silas Skinflare from the Aliens, also a 2 MVP person, but you know, hey, we take it where we can get it. Coven Striker for the Mighty Rats, and then Sneak Claw for the Skulkers to round out our top 10. All right, so let's get to Joe's least favorite stat line, which is all of our scoring stats. I'll start from the bottom here, just because there's no change. There's still only been 2 interceptions. Maybe we'll see more. Who knows? But we have seen some standouts in terms of touchdowns. So the Grung, Timothy, which correct me if I'm wrong, Timothy was the runner-up or one of the nominations for MVP last year, correct? It was Timothy and not Titsa, right?
I thought it was Titsa.
Oh, it might have been
I
Titsa.
thought it was Titsa.
Okay.
They're brothers. They're both.
Yep.
They look alike. They're hard to tell.
They look alike. Yeah. All
it
frogs
was-
look alike.
It was in fact Timothy. Timothy was a finalist for the season 3 MVP award.
Yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
he was an MVP last year, and he's showing that he wants that trophy this year, I think. 3 touchdowns, leading the league, and then a whole host of guys with 2 from the Lizards with Attitude, Taguchi Man and 2 Croc. The 1-2 punch for the Lizards. Murdoch for the Dragons, Sigerius from the Dark Iron, Chuck Geiger, and Casey Bug. Rest in peace. And then there's a whole host of 1 SPP or 1 touchdown players. But I left them off. I was going to rattle them off, but I am unprepared. So while I pull that up, what do you guys think of the stats here?
Grung.
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 That's just they had a rough week 1, but they're popping off, and I mean Timothy and Tits are just a 1-2 punch of just God. I don't know how you're supposed to deal with it, man. Because they're Blodge Step, right?
As I recall, yes.
Yeah, and Pro or something like they're statted up. They're just
They're very good.
They're good. They're very good. Yeah, as we can see,
them frogs are good.
Timothy is a Blodge Step with Pro, and Pizza is a Blodger with Pro and Sprint.
Okay.
Because I know he likes to pass and throw to each other. Like they work off of each other, which is interesting because I think their passing isn't too great.
Yeah, I
Passing
mean
4+ on Slain players.
I mean they are on the stat sheet. Timothy seems to be more of the thrower. He's in silver with 3, and then Titsa is the receiving end of those with 2 catches. So definitely leading the league in some ways. Okay, sorry for the delay. Thank you for covering my ass. It's been a long day.
It's only getting longer.
That's all right. We like long days. Anyway, our 1 touchdown runner-ups for the proverbial 7th through 10th place. There are a lot. Nicholas Lang from the Butch Bay's Dragons, Bolesbu Burlacher from the Gloomstalker Dragonaires, both Sevius Lysar and Ubalden Therer from the Khazad-dûm Dark Iron, Max Meller and Anoli with the Rolly for Liz's Latitude, Nazcar Jawblitza from the Los Alamos Aliens, Baxter Superfly Stockman and Rockstead from the Manhattan Mutant Mayhem, Sonya the Dancer, Aretta the Invoker, Alkadike the Bright Moon, and Terrace the Invoker, all 4 from the New England Matriarchs. They're really spreading the ball around over there. Mr. Coach Klein from the Mud Claws, El Cuchillo from the Luchadors, Titsa from the Chosen Grung, Coven Striker from the Mighty Rats, and Kakakitch from the Vermin Skulkers. So, I didn't want to exclude them since they're all technically in 7th place on the top 10, but just way too much to cover on a single slide.
Fair enough.
Yep. And then for our passes and catches, even though the Black Forest Guardians have been having a really rough season, I would know. I've been there. I was there. Still leading the league in passes and catches. That gnarled Barkley to Forest Stump connection. Just right behind them, the Chosen Grung, the Skulkers actually with 3, which is nice to see. They've had a bit of a bumpy ride too, but still getting that passing game going, which is awesome. And then, the Keenbender from the Mighty Rats is looking to be a good thrower. And then Dustbuster is the receiving end of that one. Then a whole host of fellas with 1 catch. All right, now let's talk about the fun stuff. We've got our most murderous. So still, the crowd is number 1. Again, like they have the benefit of being in every game. Like this is kind of a stacked list, but I just like to see it. Because it also shows how frequently are our teams using the sideline. That's a dangerous spot to be, and our teams in the league taking advantage of that. It seems that they are. Followed by True Golds, Owen with 3 casualties so far, and Craven Slayer with 3. Just behind them, Jawblitza, Bradford Pear, La Caminante de la Sombra, and Bogart. And then as far as kills, no one's run away with it yet, but we do have 5 killers. Cranton Ploker from the Dragonaires, Carleon Cameras from the Dark Iron, Leon from the Mayhem, Mr. Coach Klein from the Mud Claws, and Sonya the Dancer from the Matriarchs. There was 1 new fouler. I think Rockham got a foul this week.
Yep.
And then technically, Farmer Fran got a foul this week too. And then a Journey Dwarf that I didn't grab the name of. He was fired that evening, but he did commit a foul and is on the stat sheet for that. So, But yeah, Alaplex still heading up. So what do you guys think about all of our violent players?
I like it.
Yeah.
I say step it up.
I would try the best.
I agree. I will say two things for the those that are tied in second, quote unquote, for casualties. Oin off to a great start again for the Kaza Doom, just showing up with that casualty count standard for them. But Craven Slayer, front runner for NKBBL, all NKBBL big guy end of season so far. I mean, 3 casualties in 2 games. That's a good start.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yep. That Roger's juiced up. Oh, and then I did want to mention there is also a tied for 7th, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, tied for 8th to 10th place of single casualty causers. Yeah, we've got Sonya the Dancer from the Matriarchs, Rage Wildhair from the Snoo Snoos, Cranton Ploker, Rayfer Finkel, Will F. Compton, Demethus Warrius, and Jason Kelshi from the Dragonaires. All 4 of those, or all 5 of those, my apologies. Carlian Camros, Nori, Bomber, and Yasak Unostatis, I think. These names are getting complicated, but all 4 of those are from the Dark Iron. They're spreading their casualties out, which you see. They're dwarves. That's what they do. They share the love. Belly Roll and G40 from the Liz with Attitude. Ripley from the Aliens. Leon, Bebop, and Mick from the Mayhem. Cara Marine from the Matriarchs. Lyle Robideau, Greg Meany, and Bobby Boucher from the Mudclaws all got 1 casualty. El Santo, Ivan El Poderoso, and El Demonio Azul from the
No
Luchadors.
relation.
No relation. Completely different Ivan. Hopper, Frodrick, Robert, Pepe, and Diggum from the Grung. And then our Inducement Wizard with 1 casualty. So sideline staff getting involved. We love to see it. All right. So again, everyone, time for a moment of silence, a moment of peace, as we honor those who have left us in week 2 of the 4th season of the NKBBL. A smaller list this time. We honor Casey Bug, the chameleon skink from the SC LSU Mudclaws, as he met his fate last week. Casey Bug was a great skink. He was leading the league in touchdowns at one time with 2 before meeting his untimely end. So thoughts and prayers to his lizard family.
He leaves behind 2 wives, 7 children, and 14 grandchildren.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's talk about team standings. Right now, this is what we're looking at. If the playoffs were to start today, the Matriarchs play the Luchadors. The Dark Iron would play the Dragonaires. The Grung would play the Lizzas, and then the Mudclaws would play the Aliens. So that would be the playoff picture today. Any thoughts about standings so far and how things are shaking out?
This is subject to change.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
It's very early.
It's very early. Don't get me wrong. Props to anyone who would make playoffs right now. I don't trust these numbers as far as I can throw them. And seeing that these numbers are theoretical, I can't throw them at all.
Yep.
I've been spitballing on because this is the first time we've had such a large division and we've expanded the playoffs. I'm trying to visualize okay, what's the base amount of points you'd probably need to clinch a lower seed? Because in a perfect world, we've seen Ubtao make it to playoffs on a 500 record. That's overall. So
and I think
do you need? Yeah,
I think we've seen the Game Stealers make it to playoffs with a maybe less than 500 record.
Yeah, winning in division.
Game Stealers made the playoffs on a 5-3-2 record.
Okay, so
yeah, they were good. They were a good team. I would remember. But for me, for example, after this coming week, I'll have half of my divisional games played.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a point for some of these coaches. I think even for the Skulkers, especially, where the last couple games of their season, they're just playing friendlies.
Mm-hmm.
So like you might put up a bunch of divisional points, but like Ivan said, you can't trust these numbers as far as you can throw them because everyone else has numbers that don't even exist yet. So
yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's
worst
tough.
case scenario, you still have 4 divisional games to play. That's 12 points. So
yeah,
it's still
I feel like,
up for grabs.
yeah, I feel like if you get above 10, you're probably good because that's like 3 wins and a tie, which seems like that's above 500. But that might not be the case. I don't know.
Yep.
It'd be interesting how it shakes
I will
out.
say I have some statistics to share. So I went and looked at the first 2 weeks of every playoff team's every eventual playoff team's games, right? And unsurprisingly, about 58% of the teams that made playoffs started 2-0. So if you started 2-0, you got a pretty good chance to make playoffs. So for those of you that are 2-0, congratulations. If you you hang on, you may see postseason. And we do have an expanded playoff too, so a lot of these numbers are kind of, I don't know. They're not as accurate or as apples to apples as I would like, but it's still fun to look at. However, of the playoff teams, there were a smaller handful of 1-1s. There was a even smaller handful of like combination of 1 loss, 1 tie, or 1 win, 1 tie. But there was 1 out of 12 that went 0-2 and made playoffs, and that was last year, and it was the Ubtaus Chosen Grung. So congratulations to them also, because I didn't realize that they started on such a slump and clawed their way back into playoff contention. But I wanted to bring that up to say, you can start 0-2 and make playoffs. No one on this list is out. Everything is still in play. It's been done. Granted, it only happened 8.3% of times. So you have right now, if you're sitting at 0-2, 8.3% chance, and that's on a system where only 4 teams made playoffs. So we're expanded to 8-team playoffs. The chance is probably even more likely than that. So yeah, I mean, I agree with both of your guys' sentiments. Like, there's so much yet to be seen on this. It's really hard to trust the numbers, but I just wanted to pull the stat to tell you guys, like, don't be discouraged. 0-2, there's still path. So just keep blood bowling.
With the playoffs expanded to 8 teams, it really does open the floor for a team to sneak in with probably a sub 500 overall record, as long as they can perform in those divisional games that end up mattering towards advancing.
Yep. So it'll be cool to see, but yeah, we will keep updating and checking this out as games get played. All right, so let's talk power rankings. I will be transparent on the power rankings. They are generated with a solver, basically. I'm not just picking these, but I did do something critical that is changing some of the numbers a little more than they probably would have. I've removed season 1 from the history of what the solver is looking at. So you'll see, in particular, the one I want to call out is the Los Alamos Aliens sitting at 12th, and 11th based on each of the analysts' predictions. Even though they came off of a win, they went down because their first season was removed from consideration. And then going forward, more and more of the previous seasons are going to be removed, so that way we get a clearer picture of the power rankings. But yeah, that's the one anomaly out of all this that I just wanted to call out because it seemed strange. But yeah, lots of movement. Overall, the Dark Iron come up, the Grung come way up, the Matriarchs came up. I mean, they're 2-0. You expect that. The Mudclaws have come up. Dragons are, they're showing who they are. They're a champion, and they're coming up to reflect that. The Lizzas, nothing but bright spots for them, as they're also 2-0. The Luchadors come up, and then towards the end here we see like the Guardians have dropped 0-2. Makes total sense. the Dragonaires, the Snooze News drop, and then some teams in contention there. What do you guys think about the standings? Anything stand out to you?
I may be at the bottom of the scoreboard, but in my heart, I'm at the top.
Hey, in my heart, you're at the top too. And Aggie also believes in you, even though it's down. It's not as far down.
I'm afraid Aggie is also giving up on me.
He did
at the ranking.
He did have you at 3 at season start, so
Yeah.
he just needs to see a little more, I think.
It's bulletin board material.
Hey, yeah.
I do like the luchadors moving up higher than LWA's, a bit surprising, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
coming up against 2 redrafted teams and pulling them down to a tie. I mean, that's not an easy feat, especially if you're playing a tier 3 team. So
Yeah.
Respect that.
Yeah.
Might be a little biased because it's my team, but absolutely no business that the Rats should still be a #1 team.
Well, like I said, it's based off. I won't say which. One of these is based off the history of the team. One of these is based off the history of the coach, and one of them is an average. That's the insight I'll give. Underheim's been around since I removed season 1. It's been around since every game of all 3 seasons. So there's just a lot of history of winning there, and the analysts just aren't ready to quit on you yet.
Aren't they 18-4-1 in first 2 seasons? I think that's what I was looking at.
Rats are 18-4-1 through seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's #1.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, in a slump, 2 games is not enough to sway him, it seems. But like I said, as we go forward, like next week, season 2 is probably going to be removed. So we'll start to get a clear picture of this season as we progress. I just wanted to have I wanted to have their opinions based somewhat off of history. Because without that, week 1 would have been a wild card.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. So that's where we stand. Let's go through the updates on the team. So the Mayhem, they took a beating from the Dark Iron. They're going to be missing Leon, Splinter, and Aliplex this week, unfortunately. But Splinter, while he's sitting on the bench, has gained strip ball. So when he comes back, he'll be a little bit more useful. He does take a hit to passing as his injury, but I mean, it's a lineman. There are plenty others, and you know, when the best you got is 4+ passing anyway, it's not usually part of your plan. So
Splinter realistically was never going to pass a ball in his life anyway, so I'm okay with that injury.
Yep. I think it's like a crushed shoulder, broken shoulder. I don't remember what the actual injuries
Well, you
are.
see, rat anatomy is way different than human anatomy, so
True.
we don't even know.
All right.
And he's very old, so.
And rat ears, yes.
Yep. All right. Moving on to rank 13, the Snooze News. Terra Earthshaker, the one bright spot to this team, as of late, is gaining block. So one blodger is great for the Snooze News as they look to kind of right the ship after an 0-2 start. The aliens get a whole host of upgrades this week. Notably, Puke Nukem. Troll joins the team. You've got your full complement of big guys now, Brando.
Let's go.
Yeah. Also, your thrower now has sure hands, so that's a nice bit of reliability. And then the ogre gains a secondary block, which is also very good. Super reliable big guy now. Well, they're all unreliable, but you're getting more reliable, and that's a good thing to see. Also, we saw the departure of Din Wiesel, notable lineman. So sayonara, he got cut. He got the boot. The Skulkers are managing some injuries with Longshank Stilltail and Skitch Screer. Both missed next game. Still has 2 gutter runners, so there's still a chance. But unfortunately, that last match was not great in terms of SPP, so no statistical upgrades at this time. It looks like just a few journeymen standing in. The Dragonaires are met with a few injuries. Burlacker, Sharub, and Scompton are all missed next game. But we had a last-minute update. It seems that Finkel has gained block. So, block lineman, that's good. You're out of blitzer. Now you basically get one back. So, that's good to see. Oh, and an apothecary. So, after these missed next games, the apothecary is a welcome addition. All right, the Lizards with attitude after their 4-0 stomping of the Black Forest Guardians gain block on 2 Croc. So only 1 level up, a little bit of a TV bump, but now a Blodge Skink is going to start to be a problem. Blodge Sidestep Skink, sorry. Those
Croc is a menace.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
Proud of them.
But yeah, I mean, like the change in the overall ranking too, up 5 in power ranking from last week. I think that's well deserved, and it should even probably be a little higher, honestly. But hey, yeah. I'm not an analyst. I just report the numbers. Right, the Luchadors, El Santo gains Juggernaut. So now we've got a troll that on a blitz is going to be able to push people around and really command his spot on the pitch. Also up 4 spots on the power rankings. So 2 ties, and those were 2 ties. That's I won this divisional, so that was a point. So on the right track. All right, the Dragons. Murdoch, Witch Elf now has block, so a Blodge Witch Elf is also a problem for opposing teams, but great to see for the Dragons. They also pick up their 2nd reroll, which is good. Built in a little bit of reliability to the team. They got some coaching, and now they're going to start to consistently be able to make plays. Up 2 on the power rankings. The Mudclaws with a few updates. We've got our first block Saurus. Everybody look out. Saurus has got block.
It's over.
Yeah. I mean, it's, part of the potency of the Lizzas is, I would say, these block Sauruses. They're able to be great blitzers, great roadblocks. They really dominate the area of the pitch around them. So Mudclaws are on their way. It just takes a little while to get those sources built up. So that's one of many, I'm sure. And then Coach Klein's got sidestep. So we've got another skink menace, as Ivan would put it. All right. The Matriarchs, they hired 2 new linemen. So welcome to the NKBBL, Samantha Delop and Khalith Barkaida. So they both come.
That's Barkita.
Sorry.
Do not say it the other way. We are already demonetized.
All right. I will keep that in mind. Barkita. So they're going to be out of blocker next week, but they've got a few linemen to help weather the blow. And Terrace now has block, and then Alkadike now has block as well. So starting to get a lot of blodge. That's the way Amazons roll. It's going to be hard to get those guys knocked down. Up 2 on the power ranking, and then 2-0 with more wins in their future, I would imagine. All right. So as mentioned previously, the Black Forest Guardians hired the trainer or coach Eileen Andar to help get some of them journeymen up to shape. One of them proved potent, so they've hired Tim Burr, the lineman, and he comes with a random block that he gained during that training session just before the match with the Lizzas. We also, Oren Sapp has also gained dodge, so we have one Blodge Elf. to try to help right this ship as we slip in the power rankings. All right, Chosen Grung are up to the top 3 here. They're just getting more and more potent. They're going to be missing Pepe next match, but Timothy and Titsa both get random level ups. Jump up for Timothy. He's becoming a superstar, as we saw on the stat sheets earlier. And then Titsa gets sprint. So able to stretch the field now, able to just unlock their already insane movement potential. So good to see. The Dark Iron, I believe we have breaking news from the Dark Iron coach about some level ups.
Oh, yes. Level number 3 Sevis Lysar has leveled up and taken Mighty Blow, and number 11 Glowing has leveled up and taken Mighty Blow.
So yeah, I mean, so the TV here, it'll jump up to 1070, but we add a Blitzer with Mighty Blow, and then this Mighty Blow as well. So a little bit of a late change. So it won't reflect here, but we caught the news before the show. So and Underheim with some other breaking news on some updates. They've hired Burkwall Skyshrieker. So welcome to the NKBBL. Burkwall, a gutter runner coming in to help this team, where last week they had none. Now they will see 3 and a decent complement of speed. Unfortunately, they'll be out Spleepus this week, but Coven Strikers picked up Big Hand. They were playing in the Warpstone, and he came out with a big hand. So we'll see how that affects this lineman going forward. He's got some potential. The Underheim Mighty Rats also pick up an Apothecary, so they're looking to kind of maintain some of these players now a few weeks in. All right, so enough of me yapping about all of that. Let's talk about week 3. So you can see the matchups here. Now we get to the fun part where we talk about who's playing who, what the teams look like, and who we think's going to win. So the Luchadors take on the Mud Claws. The betting line is set to Mud Claws at 0.09, so practically a tie here. The analyst, Aggie, thinks Mud Claws. Lucy is going with the Mud Claws, but Boomer is breaking the mold and saying the Luchadors are going to win. What do you guys think? We're looking at a 15 TV difference, so I think that means no inducements.
I'm going to make a bold prediction that this one's going to end in a tie.
Okay.
Crazy.
Crazy. I would have never guessed.
Out of left field. This is going to be an interesting match again. Like, the Troll coach has been proving time and time again that he can play quite well, and maybe this will be the game to break his curse. And the Mud Claws coach is very quickly picking up on the game and is very much hoping to try to continue his positive streak. It's just
I think this is going to be a real interesting matchup. We have a lot of experience coming from the coaching staff for the Luchadors, and as mentioned before, they're going to be a real heavyweight throwing those trolls around. And it's going to be a good complement of a punching match with the Saurus that the Mud Claws have. Newer coaching is going to be, given a real test in a matchup that really, I think, matches their punching weight compared to the first 2 matches they had this season. So I agree with a lot of the sentiments. This could very well end in a tie because the Luchadors are a no-quit type of team. So this one could probably go either way. If those skinks get, slippery, that might be the breaking point. But it's a matter of if they can pick up some casualties that they're going to need in order to get around the trolls.
I think the speed will definitely play a factor. I know in season 1, the Luchadors coach Joe, they played ogres, and I know one of their first matches was against my Odo Island Kaiju, the Lizardmen. That was a high-scoring affair, but I think, like you said, with the experience, they straight up outstrength them across the board. That's true for the whole league. I think a couple good casualties or just KOs. I mean, their last match, the Mud Claws had a lot of KOs early, and that almost snowballed out of control, but they managed to claw back a little bit at the end there. I think the Snotling potential for scoring and ammunition, like we heard him say, is going to be a factor. It'll be a wild one. It will probably end in a tie, but I think if Joe gets his first win, it might be this one.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It's too close to tell for me. I yeah, I don't know. It'll be. I think it'll be a good match. You have some similar play styles. I know both these coaches are big into murder. So,
Fair.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. All right, the Mayhem versus the Matriarchs. The line is set to the New England Matriarchs at just over a touchdown at 1.07, and the analysts are unanimous in saying the Matriarchs are going to win. How do you guys feel about that? Specifically, Ivan. I want to hear from you first.
Not to disparage the coach of the Matriarchs, he's very good at what he does, but I think I'm going to give him a run for his money.
All right. Said, yeah, we've got a 60 TV difference, so a little bit of cash to play with, but
this is going to come down so much to positioning and just dice rolls. I mean, that's Blood Bowl in general, but all that dodge, the Blodge strength 4. I mean, the ball handling for the Mayhem's already pretty rough because there is no passing game, and we know the Matriarchs coach, they like to use the passing game a bit. It'll be interesting. Ivan, you got your work cut out for you, but I mean, you are a bashy team, so we'll see if it pulls out. But I mean, a couple good hits here or there, a couple double skulls or low rolls elsewhere, it could go in your favor very quickly. But it's going to be tough.
I personally think this one is going to be an interesting one for the Mayhem, just because they are down a lot of their leveled resources at this point. You're down one of your blockers, you're down two of your leveled up linemen, so a lot of backfilling at this point. And not to discredit the coaching approach of passing the ball, but the Matriarchs actually haven't completed a pass through the first 2 weeks of the season. But they have maintained that same move forward at all cost, strong momentum play style from what I've seen. I think going down one of your Blodge strength 4 pieces is going to be the difference maker if the Mayhem want to push through and maybe steal a win here.
Agreed.
Yep. I mean, it's interesting. We'll have to see when all of those horns meets all of that dodge. Are they going to dodge the horns, or are they going to get impaled? Who knows? All right. The Butcher's Bay Dragons take on the Khazad-dûm Dark Iron. The line is set to Khazad-dûm at a little over half a touchdown. So we'll say, a one point victory for the Dark Iron for simplicity's sake. And then the analysts are unanimous in the Dark Iron. What do you guys think? Cody, what do you think?
I think it's going to be another just interesting match. It can go any way, any direction. It's going to be my first opportunity to play against a Dark Elf team ever, so I'm intrigued by that. But I think it's just going to be a good game. The coach is good, team's good. I like it. It's going to be fun.
This will be a very good game. 2 championship caliber coaches. Like you said, you haven't played against Dark Elves before, and this, I think, is the fastest team you've played this season so far, right? So, and the high edge. So I am curious because I know Dark Elves have that bit of flexibility between, are they bashier than normal elves, or are they faster than more bashy teams or more agile? So I'm curious how that flexibility will come into play. But the meat grinder, man, that's a lot of mighty blow. That's a lot of guard. This is tough. I don't know.
I personally want to give a ton of credit to the Dragons. This is going to be a team that I think, with a little more development, is going to be a playoff team. Just that at the outset. Unfortunately, they're about to go against, I think, the team that'll probably be on a warpath to the championship game at this point in the Dark Iron. I mean, you mentioned the meat grinder, and that's where we are at this point in the process. Just an absolute line full of guard, and now they're all packing Mighty Blow. And as the case can be for dwarves, it's just 11 dwarfs deep. You keep your TV low because you really only need the 2 skills. It's a game that the Dark Elves could have some potential in if they had more tools available to them at the time, but they're going up against redrafted dwarves, and that's just too much of an uphill battle, I think, for any team at this point in the season.
I can agree. Yeah, I mean, it's a 125 TV difference with the added Mighty Blows. So with Elven access, it's
not great.
It's not great, but
no.
But you could pull something out of there, maybe. All right, the Chosen Grung take on the Undheim Mighty Rats. The line is still set to Undheim at just about a half a touchdown, 0.44. Aggie and Lucy are going Mighty Rats, but Doki Boomer thinks the Grung are going to pull it out. What do you think, Lols?
Like I said, sometimes when you're a Skaven coach, you get off to something trips you up at any point in the season, and you go down a lot of resources. And we were really hamstrung in week 1. I mentioned multiple times over now that I lost in week 2 to the Trolls on turn 5 of my week 1 game. And I think it's unfortunately going to be a little bit of the story for this team. I intentionally did a soft reset of this team. I started with some resources, and now I'm going into an uphill battle against any team, much less a well-prepared roster like the Grung with a pair of absolute heavyweight players. It's a two-headed beast right now. I do have a lot of faith, especially since I will be running with 3 gutter runners for the first time this season, and hopefully things don't go too far off the rails. It's definitely going to come down to coaching and if I can neutralize those 2 threats, because while it can be one of their biggest strengths, is the aggression that comes from, I think, abnormal playstyles from the Grung coach. Especially because he's willing to pass the ball. Those are usually short passes in most situations, but it's getting every inch out of the play that he can, and I have to give nothing but respect to that. But knowing how to capitalize on any kind of potential mistake is really the way that I have a chance in this game. I'm fully giving my vote to the Grung, despite the fact that you can't win unless you believe you can. So that's just my take. I don't think I'm going to win, but I have to try.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's all you can do. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting too. You guys are almost as knotted up on TV as you can get. 1270 against 1260. So
this is my vote for the stream match. I know it didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rematch. This is a straight team for team, coach for coach rematch of the playoff match last year, which was insane. It was a 3-2 Undheim victory that came down to the very end. It was a barn burner.
This is one that will be crazy interesting to see play out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think this will be the last time we see these 2 teams face each other.
Oh no!
I think there's one more. There's one more. There's one more in the tank for these 2 this year.
Yeah, I mean, if I can steal a game and slip into playoffs, I could see this being possibly a semifinal matchup. But you know, right,
too soon.
Right now, making playoffs might be the last of my concerns. Winning a game at all is going to be what I need to worry about.
Yep. Yeah, some of us aren't talking about playoffs just yet.
No, which is a weird atmosphere for me and you.
Yep. We're just trying to win a game out here. All right. The Snoo take on the Skulkers. The line is set to the Skulkers by 0.3, and the analysts are unanimous in that prediction. saying the Skulkers are going to win. How do you guys feel about this one?
It'll be interesting as they're both real slippery.
Mm-hmm.
They're both also new coaches to note. So I'd even argue they're at a similar skill level. So it could be anyone's game. But seeing the coaches' growth from last match, I'm going to hand this one to the Skulkers.
I'm putting my money on the Skulkers too. I think offensively, I feel like after the match they had with me, I have a good feeling that they're going to be able to fully utilize the high octane speed of their roster. And if the Snoo Stews have the dice luck they've had in the first two games, yeah, that I don't know. I've heard just reading the play by play, it's rough. So if they can turn that luck around and get a good stop, it could go the other way. But yeah, I think the Skulkers got this.
I'm actually gonna go the opposite direction. I'm gonna give this one to the Snoo Snoo. From what I've gathered, both coaches, relatively inexperienced. Tons of credit to the Skulkers coach. He's getting the ropes of it all. Definitely learning the just the ins and outs of Blood Bowl as a whole, much less the speed that a Skaven team can pack. But they're both aggressive coaches in a lot of ways. The Snoo Snoo end up usually suffering because they end up dicing themselves at the end of the day. But I actually got to give a lot of credit. I was on site for the week 2 matchup between the Dragons and the Snoo Snoo, and the Snoo Snoo actually showed a lot of resolve in how they approached the game. They just ended up getting the short end of the stick in a lot of the plays that ended up playing through. But there were bright spots in the Amazonian play, and hopefully if their dice don't end up crapping out on them again, this seems like it might be the game where they can break through and put one up on the scoreboard.
I agree. I think we have both these coaches even with the lack of experience, I think they're both picking up and learning at a very rapid pace and really starting to understand their teams better and better. And I think that this could be a very lean either way. I'm liking the fact that the Amazons have their roster is fully equipped now versus the Skulkers are missing a few potentially key players, or at least just a reduced roster versus an Amazon's fully booked roster, including a now block dodge strength 4 piece. I mean, that and the Skulkers I believe they are the Skaven team that is missing the Rat Ogre, correct?
Yes, they are. They are
so
the non-Rat Ogre build.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they actually do not even have the strength advantage as of right now against this team. So this could be a very go either way. I hope that the Amazonian team gets a wee bit better, just a slightly better luck in their dice rolls, and might actually be able to pull out a win.
Yep, like you said, he's got a full complement now. I have a good feeling about Kara Earthshaker, the Snoo Snoo's new blocker. They looked good on tape. All right, the Lizards with Attitude continue their campaign for postseason against the Gloomstalker Dragonaires. The line is set to the Dragonaires by 0.18. I don't know. However, the analysts Aggie and Boomer think the Lizards are going to win, and then Lucy is staying strong with the Dragonaires. I gotta say, I just played Lizards, so I'll be the first to say I think the Lizards take this, and not for any discredit to the Dragonaires. They just have a tough task. This is a very well kitted out Lizardman team with a coach who's riding the hot hand right now. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, no offense, Dragonaires, but this is the season of the Lizards. I predicted it week 1 that they were going to take the whole thing. And now I'm going to make an even bolder prediction. They're going to take the whole thing, and they're going to be undefeated.
Wow.
All right, I don't agree with that, but okay.
Someone has
that's
someone
a
has to
bold
make
claim.
Someone has to make the bold calls. That will be me.
One
is
was enough.
It's
That's a strong
it has
call.
happened once.
Yeah, and they didn't make it to the championship.
No, it did not.
No, that's a very first of all time. If that happens, that'd be wild.
And if it does happen again, I just want to say that was a longer season.
Yeah,
Yeah, by 2 weeks.
Just 1 week. It was just 1 week longer.
All right,
week.
1 week.
Yeah, yeah. It was a 10-0 instead of a 9-0.
One game, 2
Yep.
weeks.
Yep.
I think the inducement game will be a factor. They're going to need to do some homework on what to actually do because
Yeah.
yeah,
Looking at 210.
Elven inducement. Yeah, Elven inducements aren't
Yep.
super sexy, but they'll do
No.
in a pinch. But
I will
yeah,
say.
I think
Go
this
ahead,
is close
sorry.
on paper. No, I was
Yeah.
gonna say I think this is closer on paper than we think. This will be a real litmus test for the Dragonaires because last week they got whooped by a playoff caliber coach that's played for at least one season. Now they're going up against, like you said, a hot hand coach from the last season. So they have several games under their belt. They did really well in the sevens tournament this summer. They've improved massively, and I do think they have a chance to win it all. Dark Elves again, kind of a hybrid. They can like flex and adapt. Just the multiple block Sauruses, man. That's the killer to me. Like
tough.
it's tough. Like skinks are skinks. You can work around skinks. Sauruses with block.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's gonna be rough. I think the Lizards get this. I think it's 0.18 the other direction. There's a good chance for an upset for the Dragonaires, but
Yeah.
it depends on that inducement game. I think
I will say the one
be
thing with
factor.
elves having coached an elf team for the first time too, there is a distinct lack of like a middle ground
Yeah,
in terms of star player. You have your like chaff, you're like, 140 to 160, and then there's a massive gap until you're just like, all right, you have 250 plus to spend. Here's some good players. So being right at that $210,000 mark is pretty rough because you just don't have access to anything. Whereas other leagues have better star players in that mid range to choose from. So gotta get creative.
Yep.
I want to echo the sentiment. The Dragonaires, I think, shouldn't be completely discounted in this situation. They're again a new coach that is getting the hang of things. They've gotten off to a decent start, but it's just a big uphill battle. I mentioned the Warpath that the Dark Iron are going to be on this season. They're in the Blood division. The Lizards are going to be the ones on a Warpath in the Bull division, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm going to fully commit to the idea of an undefeated season. Just looking at the rest of their schedule, they are going to have a couple matchups that are still going to be big road bumps that they have to worry about. But this is probably, at least for my money, the current first place team coming out of this division. And there definitely are still, moments of weakness, but absolute props to the Lizards coach because that they have come so far and they're really showing it. And you could chalk that up partially to being a redrafted team that came in with some of those resources, already at their disposal. But that's part of the game. You have access to bring a team back around and reap the benefits from it. You mentioned the star player difference and how that inducements are a bit trickier for elves. Um, you do have to really think about what to do with your money in a different way when you're coaching an Elven Kingdom team. So that will be part of the equation is if the Dragonaires bring the right resources to the table with that TV difference. But this one's going to be Alyssa's game. It's not going to be pretty, but I don't think the Dragonaires are going to get stopped either.
Mm-hmm. This is great because this is now where the upset happens.
Oh yeah,
right.
we're setting the table for when the wheels
Bulletin
fall.
board.
Because I mean, like, I was very sure of some outcomes week one that did not happen, and this one I feel very sure about. And it probably like who knows. But yeah, I mean,
Four seasons deep, something's bound to go wrong.
I will say runner up for the stream match. By the way, so this was almost on your TV screen, and it's a bit of a shame because I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
But all right, speaking of our marquee matchup, let's get into it. The Los Alamos aliens are visited by the Black Forest Guardians. The line is set to the Guardians at 1. I guess the analysts the Vegas line still believes in the history of the Guardians, but Aggie and Boomer thinking aliens, and Lucy's sticking with the Guardians. What do you think, Brando? I'll let you kick it off.
Oh man, I got a dissertation on this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know you did some digging.
Oh man, I would have also preferred probably a different stream match. I don't know if it will be that exciting, but based on history, it should be. I want what the analysts are smoking, because I'm stunned that you got a 1 touchdown lead despite not scoring a single touchdown this season.
Granted, it's pulling from history.
I'm not a high scoring offense either, so it's fine. It's just really funny.
Yep.
Maybe it's some Geiger cigars.
Yeah, you got to get some Geiger cigars, bud.
Yeah.
All right, taste the difference. Okay, so back to Blood Bowl. You are 3-2 against me.
Ooh.
And we have swapped wins and losses since season 1.
Really?
Listen to this. Season 1, 2-1, Coil. Turn 8 touchdown by Coil. This is Queen City Kings versus Odo Island Kaiju.
Yep.
Turn 8 touchdown Coil. Turn 12 touchdown Kaiju. Turn 15 touchdown Coil. Not very eventful. Season 1, we're all getting the ropes.
Right.
Now, you'll remember this one. Season 2, week 5, 2-1, me. Turn 4, I scored touchdown. Turn 15, you score a touchdown. Turn 16, Roosevelt leaps to victory to score the game-winning touchdown.
Can we also talk about the timeout that happened?
Yeah, there was a timeout. Yeah, there was a timeout on that. That's right. There was I was fully expecting a tie in that game.
You had one turn, and then you had 2 turns.
Turn to score. Then I had 2 turns to score, and I had to stretch the field. I had to make some rolls. I had to leap over a prone body, but by God, I did it.
That was
at the
insane.
Independence Minutemen. It was insane. It was great. It wasn't it was a streamed match, but it's not available on Twitch. I tried looking at it this morning.
Yeah, it drops a few off. I may have it in my. I'm pretty sure I have it. Eventually, we'll dig into the archives and put them on the channel. But
eventually, historical NKBBL programming will be coming to you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It was probably one of my most favorite matches of Blood Bowl, just because how fucking goofy it was. And that was one of the few victories the Minutemen had, and it felt good because they didn't have a really good season. I think they went 4-5-1.
Yeah.
Or no, 4-4-2. It was basically 500. It was not super sexy. Following that up,
you either those Minutemen were not as good as their record might tell you, and that's not a whole lot to go on.
Yeah.
Week 7, 3-1, Coil. Turn 7 touchdown by Coil. Hold on, my phone just all right. Turn 11 touchdown by Independence. Turn 15 touchdown by Coil. Turn 16 touchdown by Coil. The big thing about this one, there was a lot of injuries. Kratos killed Obama, and I'll never forgive you for that. I'm
neither will America, to be honest.
And I tried several times to make AI art of Kratos fighting Obama, and it just can't happen. So just use your imagination, and think of Kratos killing Obama on a frosted pitch in December, because that's what happened. I'm still upset.
For context. I just want to. I'll let you keep going, but I just want to give context. I have one of the Norse Blitzers is painted like Kratos. So he was Kratos, and then the Independence Minutemen were all based off of past presidents and all other judicial members. So, and yes, Kratos killed Obama. Anyway,
Norse versus nobility.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Season 3, redrafted Jotunheim versus the Los Alamos Aliens season. The first season. 2-1 me. I just came off of a match against Kushiro Kamikazes where Zod had his moment of the year. I was missing Zod, and this is a point I'm going to make later on. So Zod wasn't playing. I scored a touchdown turn 6. You scored a touchdown, 1-turn touchdown, by the way, on turn 6. But then I eventually scored turn 15 to win the game. This is the one where I got to induce, and this is one of the reasons I was heavily advocating for this. I got to induce both Creek and Hackflem, and it was bad. There was a point where I think over half your team was KO'd.
Oh yeah.
And I think this was a streamed match too, or it was. And it's
Yep.
like, I just scored. Yeah, I scored on turn 15, and it's like, all right, you have however many turns. Surely you won't get that many KOs back. You got a decent amount, but not enough to do a one turn again.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a brutal one. And then, oh, I hated this one. Week 10. This is a follow up after getting my ass blasted by the Undeheim Mighty Rats 4-0.
I hated this one for you.
Oh, it's okay. Trust me. This is where it gets good.
Mm-hmm.
The Zod wasn't playing again because he got injured, of course. 5-0 Coil. Turn 1. So I have a note here. By turn 4, I lost 5 players.
Mm-hmm.
By turn 6, I lost 7. By turn 11, I lost 9. I did not surrender. I don't like surrendering. I still got a development.
It's my favorite activity.
I see that. I'm not gonna blame you for it. But I don't know. I was still trying to basically bite at your ankles, but you like went fully nuclear on me. I haven't seen so many 11s in my life. It was bad.
It was the highest rolling game of Blood Bowl I have ever played, hands
Yeah.
down.
And I think
no
that was
contest.
I think
that one was streamed as
that
well.
that was streamed as well. So most of our matches have been streamed, and they've always been interesting. So by the laws of math, it's my turn to win. My win. You're going 0-3. And Zod's playing. So by God, he's gonna have like 5 casualties and 2 kills. I don't care if you have 10 armor. I'm gonna win. There you go. We'll see if it actually happens, but I expect a good game. I think you're gonna get a touchdown. I think you will. It's probably gonna be like a 2-1.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, that's a win. A score is a win at this point.
Getting a score.
I just gotta get the freaking monkey off my back. Like,
just get the touchdown monkey.
Yeah. And just get into the habit.
Yeah, I think a 2-1's very possible. I think that'll be the score. Either way, you or me. So it'll be good. I'm excited. But yeah, our games have been nuts. So that's my dissertation.
Yep.
Take it as well.
I love it. No, I will say as far as everyone on the league, I don't know if I can say this with 100% confidence because I don't know everyone's history with Blood Bowl, but I believe out of everyone in the league, me playing you has happened more times than any. But I'm adding because we played each other a ton in Blood Bowl 2.
Yeah,
like we have a lot of history playing against each other, and I think more than any other 2 coaches. So.
Oh yeah, and I think it shows too with how we play.
Yep. So
I think it'll be good.
This is your.
Does watching Cody through his walls count?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
So then you may have dethroned us.
Yeah, and 100% we have. I'm in there right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Ivan.
Hey, Cody.
The moment I hear the echo, I'm gonna lose my shit.
All right. Now I want your opinion. I want to hear it. I'm excited.
I am terrified. I've had a rough go. I've ran into nothing but this caliber of team that is redrafted, pretty decently kitted, and I'm just trying desperately to get my elves off the ground while also kind of learning how to play them on the fly. Like I've said in previous shows, the slow movement elves is an interesting thought experiment that I'm still working out the machinations in my head. But yeah, I don't have high hopes. Maybe that's the O2 playing on my psyche, or just the wall of big guys there. I do have 315k, so there's money to play with, but like Lal said earlier, it's a different strategy. It's an interesting test of how do you efficiently spend that money and actually get value when you have to rely on the Elven Kingdoms. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping this one goes better than the last half. I think there's a path. There's always a path to victory in Blood Bowl, but I mean it's stacked, and like you said, it's your turn to win. So
I'm excited for a good game. Our games
Yeah.
are always good.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's you know, a lot of your powers in those big guys. So that's what I'm afraid of. I can handle linemen, but a troll, a minotaur, and an ogre, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle that, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. I think this is, again, just besides and including also your guys' history of playing against each other, but just looking at just the teams as they sit, I'm inclined to lean towards the Los Alamos Aliens, but I could also see some wild shit being pulled off by the Black Forest Guardians as well. Like, it's just going to be a very good game. That's why I want to watch it.
That all being said, I think with the three big guys, it's going to be quite the uphill battle for the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually gonna side with the fate of Nuffle on this one and say the aliens are probably gonna pull through, but maybe not for the, you know, pure insanity that that's how numbers work in this world. Um, as long as I think from your perspective, Whitey, you can get out of your head the uphill battle TV difference, strength difference that you unfortunately ran into for all matchups up to this point, it's gonna be a very close game. Um, in that same regard, though, I think there's a lot to be said about trying to adapt to having a slower team. You've always had access to faster players, just natural movement of allowances considered. And the slower elves, again, it's a change in play style that I think you're still getting your grasp on. And 300 in inducements is a lot to play with, as opposed to the 200 that the Dragonaires are going to be playing with. I think you have the kind of coaching acumen that can, take advantage of that difference. But for the aliens, you've got resources available to you. You've got accessible players who can carry the ball. Going with a thrower this season was a very bold take in my personal opinion, but already having sure hands on that thrower can make things interesting. And all three big guys are now on the table, and it's a matter of how those get used up against nothing but strength 3 across the board. I think it's going to be a very entertaining match to watch.
Mm. One can hope. All right. Well, that about does it, I think, for us. So yeah, if you like what you see here, you can check this match out on Twitch on the 18th around 6 p.m. That time varies a little bit. Just keep checking. We'll eventually be on, or we'll have already started slightly earlier. Probably not. It's not how it goes. But the replay will be available the week following right here on Cabal Vision North. This has been Wartscenter. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.
Bye!
I thought you were going to say it. I thought you were going to say it. Come on, let me get one. Let me get one before I'll end it on that.
Us?
There we go.